Welcome to Alliance Research Corner. I'm Mohamed Fouda, and in Alliance Research Corner, we will discuss interesting technologies in the Web3 space and what startup ideas can be built on top of these technologies. In our first episode, me and my fellow David will we be discussing one topic that is close to heart, which is on-chain privacy. And in specific, we will be discussing how to build the private applications using zero knowledge proofs. So, David, I know that we have been discussing this for a while, and we have been ideating a lot of ideas that can be built on a chain and have privacy at the same time. Let's start with the financial side. What application do you think we need currently?
At the most basic, I think payments really do have to have opt-in privacy, at least, because the way Ethereum is working right now, it's just too public. If anybody receives a payment from me, they know my address and they know all of my history, right?
Mhm.
So like personal privacy around payments is definitely crucial. But going above one layer, like companies really need that as well, right? Companies are very strategic in how they pick partners and pick suppliers and things like that. So whenever they uh, reveal one of their addresses, they might reveal all of their strategy and how they structure their businesses. So this is not something that companies are very comfortable with. So that's a big barrier to adoption of crypto, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially that most of the privacy solutions that we have seen so far have been focused on the native asset of the chain. So Tornado Cash was focused mostly on Ethereum. But for real applications, especially around payments, we need to have privacy for stable coins, USDC, Tether, any other stable coins, because
Mhm.
companies or enterprises will not accept the pricing risk for native crypto assets, at least for now.
Right. And also the UX is pretty horrible if you look at Tornado Cash, right? Like I
Mhm.
can send you $1, $10, or $100, like in increments of 100s, right? So imagine paying for, $600 and $651.32. Like it
Yeah.
makes the accounting, it would make the accounting like a nightmare.
So, what other applications in finance would need privacy?
I guess as a ex trader, I generally don't want people to know what I do, right? One, if I have alpha, then don't want people to see what I'm doing and copy me. And two, if I do not have alpha, I don't want to see that I'm an on-chain clown.
Okay, you are like the target for like bigger traders to like steal your money, kind of.
Exactly. Like this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Like just follow him and be the counterparty.
I agree with these two use cases. In the same vein, we have actually like lending, and we have seen the trend of uncollateralized lending. I think privacy can play a major factor in uncollateralized lending.
So uncollateralized lending has, I guess, two components. One of them is your past history. It's like your credit score, and the other part is can you keep track of this person afterwards when they defaulted? Can you like go after this person?
Hmm.
In the reputation part, um, being able to bring your payment histories or your credibility from the off-chain world in a private manner on chain uh, helps a lot when you're trying to to, to borrow money in an uncollateralized way, right? You can say, hey, like I've been making mortgage payments, never missed a payment. That's some evidence of credibility that would be able to allow other people to trust you enough to even like lend you money, right? And then on the uh, like the after side, if I do not default, like my entity stays like anonymous, but like if the loan does default, uh, there's like a trigger to reveal my identity so that they can pursue payments if there's like a legal right to do so, right?
Like for me, like I have heard or discussed with multiple founders who are trying actually to use privacy in similar veins for private payments, but for private subscriptions. I think people are worried about being followed on a chain, and like knowing what services they subscribe to, uh, what media they watch. So I think people are starting to think about how to make this subscriptions private.
What are you watching, Mohammed?
I have discussed actually with a founder who is building a private streaming, especially for porn, obviously. But it's like now, yeah, people are worried about that OnlyFans, they have their payment information and they can reveal this information at their will. And we are building a solution to combat that. So, which is interesting for sure. Before we jump into non-financial private applications, what other applications that can fit in the financial regime?
uh, there are some things called dark pools
Hmm.
in the world of exchanges, and so in the traditional world, dark pools operate by, it's a place where people don't show what their limit orders are. You don't show the size, you don't show the price, but when there's a match between a buyer and a seller, then uh, that price is published, right? So it's basically different rules than a public exchange. Something like that has utility because people, don't want to play by the normal rules of an exchange. So and people can do whatever they want, right? So there is some demand there, and that is currently not done in on blockchains.
If we move to a little bit to financial adjacent or non-financial applications, I think most people are interested about on-chain games and identity. And let's start with identity. I know, David, that you implemented something along the lines of private identity on a chain. So can you talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, it was a little pet project of mine because uh, uh, to I wanted a platform where people could prove something about themselves on chain. And I took something very simple, like whether you're a whale or not, whether you have over $1 million or not, like something like that. But it could be anything. And the reason why it's interesting is that it's almost like privacy is a misnomer because this allows the in between of completely anonymous and like completely transparent and
Hmm.
doxed, right? So depending on where you're coming from, you could say it's like um, allowing people to actually reveal more things about themselves to be more credible.
I think after the identity piece comes a little bit of a social media or social interaction piece, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
once you prove that about yourself and you earn a certain status, you want to actually engage in discussions
Mhm.
with other people who
Right.
will respect that status or this
Yeah.
reputation. So you
Yeah.
build a chat platform on top of that.
Yeah. So the well songs, the thing I built was like very rudimentary. Is like more of a proof of concept. You could prove that that you own a CryptoPunk, and then you can attach a message, and it's going to show on my little Vercel app, right? But there are companies there are startups who are taking this in a more productionalized way. For example, Persona Labs has a project called Cred, short for credibility, right?
Hmm.
And they help people prove claims about themselves um, through a Dune query, and then generate a proof, and then attach it to a Twitter account. So the Twitter bio will have a link to the proof, and you can verify it, and that will be a pseudonymous account, but with a credible claim, like I was part of the Ethereum Genesis, or like I'm a developer that commits 100 times per month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, this reminds me of a Web2 app, but it's not an on-chain social media app called Kettle. And I think the categories that they use for users are You are a founder, you are a YC founder and a VC, and you can prove this by using an email address or something that shows your status. And after that, everyone within the app is anonymous. And I think this is one good application of zero knowledge proofs. Um, Maybe we can actually take this application and make it a Web3 version by enabling maybe payments between this or tipping between these users. If I agree with your view and you drafted it really well, I can tip you some money or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it ties back into like like the uncollateralized lending, right? Like you can take these claims about in the from the real world, attach it to an address, right? Now the address has some credibility, and then they can go uh,
Very interesting
borrow some money.
relation, and that's actually ties back the non-financial to financial. I think also, yeah, if we speak
Yeah,
about games, I think games are trying also to do this. Games are like there is certain types of games that need privacy in the game mechanics. Like you need have to have incomplete information in the game. Poker and card games in general, even active games like first-person shooter, when you don't know the location of your opponents or like the location of the resources in the game, have to be hidden. And if you want to bring these games on a chain, you will have to find ways to build privacy for this information. And I think Dark Forest was a kind of first implementation of that, but it was limited by throughput, and we need to get more applications to build games or game engines that will support private information. Um, and of course, like once you have that, you will have also tied to financial, because you can have wagers, you can have betting, you can have gambling on who will win a certain game. Uh,
everything comes back to finance.
yeah, everyone loves money. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground in regarding applications. So, how do you think founders who are interested in any of these applications should proceed? What implementation options does he have?
At first, I knew about Circom vaguely, but I didn't know how to write any. So I had a good friend, Brian Gu, who runs Zero X Park, and they do uh, outreach and research in the ZK world. So uh, I did a little tutorial with them. So I
Hmm.
learned how to do it. But once I uh, implemented the circuits for Whalesong, it was just impossibly slow. Yeah, nobody would sit through that, right? Uh, but by being connected with Xerox Park, I learned about the prior work of other Xerox Park alumni um, who then went to co-found Persona Labs, and they had uh, created a specialized circuit for the group membership proofs that I needed for Wellsong, and it was only like through that I was able to use that and like build the app around the circuit. Um, so there's a lot of like research that's not super popular, and you have to like dig pretty deep to find the state of the art.
Okay, got it. So I think for your prototype, you went for the hardware approach, which is like I will build my own circuit that does that, right? So you didn't use any of the new solutions that allow you to maybe write a high level program and convert it into a circuit. You went directly to Circom to design your circuit, and then when it was slow, you found someone who have already designed the circuit and use it. Um, I think this is kind of the way to go if you are aiming for performance and like really optimizing performance. But to your point, it's really challenging for developers or generalist developers to go in this direction, because they have to learn a lot of basics of zero knowledge and how and circuits and how to design all of this stuff. I think this is why many platforms right now are trying to go into a different direction, which is like forget about learning ZK. You can just write your application in any high level language, and we will handle it from there. They build special tools or a special development tools that takes this high level program and brings it down to a circuit. This circuit will be run to execute the logic. There are a couple projects building that, but the ones that are related to Ethereum are Aztec. LAO is building their own L1 to implement that. And the concept here is that for Aztec, they are using Noir, which is a development language that allows you to write in Rust or C, and then you take this smart contract and build a circuit. Of course, this will add probably some inefficiencies, but at least it has a wider funnel for developers to come and build on these technologies. Coming back to your point, David, on the challenges that you faced, can you elaborate a little bit on what challenges you faced with the approach of building your own circuit?
Since everything needs to be done locally because you want to keep your privacy, um, sometimes you have to download a lot of data about the state of the world before you can generate a ZK proof. And then on top of that, you have to generate a ZK proof locally. So um, a lot of the modern software stack is not optimized around this. So you might have to host data on blobs, or you have to make sure that your connections stay open long enough to transfer everything. So those are the kind of speed bumps that you have to expect when developing ZK apps.
So still, the UX is a majorly challenge, especially the compute on the client side, which may be not easy for everyone to do, especially if you are using a resource constrained device like a cell phone.
Mhm.
So
Sometimes the libraries are not even available for the phone, so that's another challenge. Right?
okay, so there is even challenges on the diff tooling and like availability of the diff tooling for different platforms. Okay, so given these challenges, how would you advise a builder who is exploring to build one of these ideas that we discussed early in this episode? What should the founder do?
I think the first thing is to be mentally ready, right? You have to expect some roughness around the edges. You have to be ready to reach out to people who are like at the bleeding edge and like get their help, find the right community, and follow what's available out there. It's definitely many full-time jobs.
Cool. And obviously, like we, because we are interested in this and we are already connected to all these communities, we would encourage you to join Alliance. Thanks, David, for your insights. And thanks everyone for joining our first episode of Alliance Research Corner. See you soon.